Welcome to Get Tied Down Racing fans. I'm Tom Amello. He's Michael Kipnis. We are sitting here on Monday, and Whitney weekend has been put into the books. We are on the cusp of Alabama and Travers as this Saratoga meeting begins to wind up and then down. And Michael, post-Whitney week, this is kind of a blah in the middle, no major stakes this week. Last week, and kind of ordinary handicapping, but still some very interesting performances. And three I'd like to talk about, or you to talk about, is we interviewed Whit Beckwith, and he managed to score with a big number on Sunday. And you liked the horse that Kenan LaRose had in the Sunday Stakes as well. And that horse ran huge with a really tough trip. And then, Linda Rice had a Linda Rice week. And in doing so, she got Jose Lozano off the 0 for 80. And, I was hoping he'd get off the duck with a big number, but I think she had him on a 4 to 5 or whatever it was. But talk first about these young trainers really getting it done well here from limited starts here at Saratoga.
Well, Kenan LaRose, took over the horses from Tom Amos and has done a really good job since going out on his own. He was an assistant to Amos for 6 years, so he had a lot of education. He was his assistant trainer at Saratoga for a few years, and he won a graded stakes race a couple weeks ago. And I think that horse will come back in the Spinaway, if I'm not mistaken. And on Sunday, he almost upset the field at 16 to 1 with a twirling candy first time on the turf, sprinting at 5.5. The horse had a tough trip, as you said. He was at the back of the pack, kind of steadied along. He angled out. He just ran out of real estate. Another jump or two, and he's the winner and pays $34. So that was a great performance. Whit Beckman, both trainers we've had on our shows. It seems like when we put trainers on the show, they do really well soon after. Whit Beckman scored with a long shot, first time on the turf, stretching out, had no turf pedigree, was a Jackie's Warrior, nothing to suggest the horse would like the turf other than him saying the horse worked well on the turf in 51 and 2. So I couldn't make heads and tails out of that work. That work didn't illustrate that this horse was going to handle the turf, and nor did the pedigree.
You can do 51 and 2 on the turf.
Yeah. I did question on my interview today with Dave Grenig, who was part of a 3-man crew, Clocking Works, with Mike Welsh. And I asked him about that work, and he described the work, and I could see why the work was better than the time actually illustrated. So yeah, that was I think both races were on Sunday.
Yeah. You're just illustrating a point for me. Handicappers can make limited sense out of the workouts. There was a time in East Fairland when the clockers actually posted comments in the daily racing form, and they were good. And we used to look for those and keep track of those because they're there. And you and I, we're looking at pretty much static numbers on a white page in black print, and we're not there, so we don't know how the work was accomplished. We don't know what part of the work was a work and what part of the work might have been prepped for the work. And so, we're left figuring works out from our offices, when a guy like David and Welsh and some these guys who races or clock the works in person, they know what went on in the work, or perhaps what the trainer was looking for. And so I'm always skeptical of, if you will, of the works, because I don't know how the work went.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even know the weight of the rider.
Right.
Um, you don't know if it was a real jockey or not a real jockey. You don't know how the work is designed. Chad Brown doesn't give away anything in his works. Mostly it's kind of on the gallop out, but the work is already ended. Uh, so no two works are ever alike. I mean,
No. No.
they're timed from a different pole. Um, it's one of the mysteries of the game to me.
That's right. We'll be we'll be talking about mysteries in a few minutes. Let's talk about Linda Rice. She's sitting third in the trainer standings and climbing. We've always said she comes armed to Saratoga with stock that fits conditions that Pletcher and Brown and some of the top shipping trainers, Cox, Asmussen, they don't bring horses for these claiming races, these New York State bred races, and so on. And so she's really in her own trainer standing category, right? Because she's not. We don't see her running against survey or deterministic. She doesn't really have that stuff.
I had a nice long interview with Dave Grenig, which will be posted tonight, and that's why I'm having a glass of wine. Because
Where's
it was
mine?
What's that?
Where's mine?
I'll send it over to you. But we talked about Linda Rice, and she has just so many bullets to fire. She claims out of town. She claims horses here. If she makes a claim that she doesn't like, she drops it, right? To get the win and let someone else be left holding the bag, so to speak. She just has too many bullets. She started the meet very slow, and she's percolated tremendously in the last week. Last 2 to 3 weeks, but this week was astronomical. And she's likely to win the title because she's sharp. She is aggressive. She knows what horses to claim and where to place them. And she's claiming I told Dave Grenig, she's the only person I know who always wins an 8-way shake on a claim. So, Linda Rice will likely win the trainer's title because of the amount of bullets she has.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to make mention, though, Tom, of Saturday's card. Saturday's card. I think it's a combination of the lack of horses on the grounds or a bad carding of races, because Saturday's card was awful. The worst Saturday card I can remember. They carded 4 2-year-old races.
Yeah.
And 90% of those horses in those 4 races were first-time starters.
Yeah.
Then 4 races came off the turf. 4 or 5 races came off the turf. So we had a 4-horse field in the finale. We had small fields. It was like watching racing in Mars, or like dead of winter on the main track at Aqueduct. I mean, it was really a pretty pathetic card.
Well, have you looked at Thursday's card for this coming week yet?
I did it.
It starts. It's I think the first four of the first five or four of the first six are maiden races, short fields. I mean, Sunday the first three races were 5-horse fields.
When I print the sheets, when I print the PPs out, and I know that's 22 pages or less, I know what kind of card they carded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, Michael, and I think someone said it last year, races don't fill or fields are small. And we say, well, there aren't that many horses. But you look at the horses who are working every day. I mean, some days you get 150, 200 horses working.
Yeah.
They're working, but they're not running.
Right. Or they're pointing, tons of horses are pointing for Kentucky Downs.
Well, that's a whole new story. Yes.
Yeah. So you have the turf races not filling. It's like, look, this is the ramifications of when did this meet start? July 3rd? I mean, July 3rd. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
5 days a week racing.
Yeah. So Michael, 2 weeks ago, last week, our show was about betting coups and Monmouth Park and Saratoga and, HISA investigating and horses being scratched on Monday. A horse identified to the group that made the score opened up 1-9 down in Mountaineer, and so that was last week. This week we got a new boil to lance on the backside of thoroughbred racing, and several weeks ago it was reported that past performances were being created and passed around that had inside information that only HISA had about medical information on horses, on that this was something that would be investigated, and HISA's investigated, and we seem to have an alleged perpetrator here. And the ramifications of this are, in a lot of ways, more significant than the betting coup, in my opinion.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. I have spent the afternoon talking to people, different types of people, a conversation worth listening to with Dave Grenig, who is great at what he does. And it involves a gentleman by the name of Marshall Gramm, who I'm very familiar with. So if you'd like me to proceed, you can kind of reel me in and tell you the story.
Well, I mean, that's what we're all tied on for.
Okay.
The whole thing is, I mean,
that's why I'm drinking wine. That's why I'm drinking wine.
You should have warned me. I'd have gotten mine. But listen, Dave, you talked to Grenig, and David's doing the grunt work to publish the story that'll appear in the Daily Racing Form. I only know what I've read and what I've seen on social media, and as far as I'm concerned, it's an allegation to which Mr. Gramm has admitted, and so take it from there. Let's go.
It's very clear cut. There's two scenarios. One is that Marshall Gramm was able to access information as an owner. He is an owner of, he has partners, but he's an owner of 10 Strike Racing, a pretty successful claiming operation. They race in Kentucky, they race in New York. So he claims that he was able to go into the HISA system as a registered owner, like I am. But I don't go in there. But if I wanted to go in there, I can look at all the medications, everything that's been done by the vets to the horses I own. He went in, claims that he went in and easily accessed the information of horses he didn't own.
Oops.
Any horse. Well, so now the scenarios are, is HISA, did they have a system that you could access this information, a flaw in their computer system that even the Wizard could have gone in and did the same thing that Marshall Gramm did? Now, that's one scenario. Now remember, Tom, this is a computer genius who's involved in, in he plays contests. He's a big gambler. He owns a claiming operation. He's an economics professor currently at Memphis University. Extremely bright. I think he's an MIT guy, by the way. And, been around a long time, has put in a lot of money into the pools, tons of money. And he spotted a flaw. Maybe he walked into it, didn't, realize it, and then took advantage of what was open for people to get and access, take that information, put it into PPs, and use it to his advantage. If he was able to do that and he spotted a flaw that was in the computer system of HISA, then HISA he's not in the wrong per se, and HISA screwed up because there's a flaw in the computer system. That's one scenario.
Okay, I'm not ready to buy that scenario, because
that's a scenario.
Yeah, but everything you just said to me sounds like a form of insider trading, because he took information that nobody had, and that nobody else would have access to unless they tripped over that flaw. And I don't know where the evidence is that, but I'm sure he used it to claim horses, to bet against horses. Okay, go ahead.
Let's take it a step. Let's bring the other side in. Okay, so he claimed several horses and made a total of $90,000 on the claims. He made no money. He did not take advantage of that information to make money on the claims based on that information. That's a fact. He's a computer ADW guy. So he's one of 20, 30 people. So he's not an individual. I don't know, get his records of any individual betting that he did based on the information he had and how he profited. But he doesn't bet that way. He bets into the system to break even and get the rebate and make a profit that way. Now, let's go the other way. If it's proven, did he write code to hack the system? if he wrote code to access this information to use for his to profit from, actually wrote code and go in and hack a system, then he should be put away. He should be put in jail. So there's two scenarios. I don't know what that scenario is. The horses that went on the internet were deterministic. The PPs, deterministic, and another plug, another bad horse. It was shockwave therapy. That was what was pointed out. I mean, that's the information that was put on social media. It goes a lot further than that. Okay. Deterministic wins whether he's shockwaved or not. Mm-hmm. He wins. But the issue is really two things. Like I'm saying, a flaw in the HISA system that anyone could have gotten in. I could have gotten in if I really wanted to. I don't think about that. I don't care. I just didn't think about it. But he thought of it and accessed it. And yes, it's insider trading. But now we go to another level, Tom. This is a betting game, gambling game. More information we have at our disposal, the more we're equipped to hang in the game, betting wise, right? Japan gives you the weight of horses. They give you, who rode the horse in an exercise and how much he weighed. What happened during the layoff? What medications, if any, were used because of a layoff? Like, there's all kinds of information that Japan supplies the player, right?
Yep.
Are we as the player have the right to know some of that information that helps us in our handicapping and betting?
Okay. Let me say that another way. Who among the echelon of those controlling the data and controlling the information is making the decision what we as handicappers, bettors, gamblers are given? Who's saying, no, they don't need that, or yes, they can have this? Someone in Japan says, okay, we're given what we're given. I don't know what they're not given, but Michael, to me, the quintessential example is the whole notion of late announcement of a gelding. I tell a story. A friend of mine had a horse running here at Saratoga, and it was announced as a new gelding. I called them up, and I says, "When did you guys geld the horse?" "We're at Saratoga." He says, "March." The horse hadn't run, but it was March. And for the paperwork not to get to the racing office at Saratoga so that it could get into the form from a surgical procedure that happened in March is as egregious an error of information that I can think of. I often say, to me, past performances should be as sacrosanct as a SEC prospectus. But the question is, the SEC says what must be in every prospectus, and if it's not there, you're talking about fraud. Well, the Jockey Club and whoever says what we're going to get when we get it, and Japan says we're going to give you as much as we can. And here in America, somebody decides, well, you can have this, but you can't have that. And if they don't get it to you on time, so what?
I'll give you an example, because I've learned a lot from being an owner. And I had a horse that had a chip removed. And then there was a layoff ensuing, right? A long layoff.
Yeah.
I would have liked to know as a handicapper why that horse was laid off. What happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Just that would, what happened? There was a horse that I was looking to claim at Saratoga, and it hadn't worked for 10 months. Why? Like, why didn't it work? Like, what was the injury? What, so Japan doesn't. Japan gives you that information, Tom. So why are they so advanced and so caring and concerned about the betting public that the United States isn't? Japan respects the betting. Japan respects the betting public because they understand. I talked to Pat Cummings, who is very knowledgeable about Japan racing. They're light years ahead of America, and there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. And it's the Japan embraces the better. America disdains the better. That's where it lies. That area. That's it.
Well, the bard would say, "There's the rub." Shakespeare would say, "There's the rub." And,
I mean, it's
you're expressing it clearly. Maybe we got to spend some time with Jake from Flow, because he's become an expert in Japan and Hong Kong, and who knows? Maybe there's a venue for us.
It's just they have all these seminars and meetings in Phoenix and Hall of Fame and all this nonsense, and where have we gone? Like, what's happening? What's happening in American racing? It's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah. You can't argue against the downward spiral, and you can argue against, as you're pointing out, the seminars, the conventions, the speeches, the presentations, the consultants who offer silver bullets and then ride off into the sunset. But nothing seems to change, or little changes, or the changes themselves are too little. So, yet we're thinking about this week of racing, and it's another.
The Alabama has a 5-horse field. The Alabama has a 5-horse field with a.
Who scratched out? It's only 5.
How many horses are in there? It's not many.
No, it's not many. I thought it was more than 5. I took a
Baffert
quick
was
look.
Baffert was supposed to ship in a horse, and he didn't. It's 5 or 6, and there's a heavy favorite.
Yeah. Short field.
A short field. Look, I don't know what I don't know what to say. But let's talk about there's nothing been proven yet about the putovers at Saratoga. I talked to Dave Brennig about that. We revisited it, and nothing yet has come out,
right,
other than one of the guy's horses that wasn't involved in this was a positive,
right,
for something. But that horse ran out of the money. It had nothing to do with these horses, right? So from the last conversation we had, it's been determined that these guys killed the books in England on this betting coup. And if nothing has there's no drug positives when the dust clears. I applaud these people for the great 2-track put over huge score without drugs, if that's proven, bet offshore. Within 2 hours, a condition book on both Saratoga and Monmouth, writing races that fit. Now, remember, this was a sleepy Sunday at both tracks. The cards were not drawn till Wednesday. The cards, so they had Thursday, Friday, Saturday to prepare. It's not like Saturday drawn on Sunday where they have additional days to plan.
Yeah.
They had a small window with races that was scheduled that fit these horses like a glove. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If nothing is proven, this is the greatest betting coup of all time.
Well, then this will rival the great train robbery that took place in England many, many moons ago. But it's funny. If they manipulated the system without violating the system, and there's no illegality to it, you're right. You just got to smirk and move on, right? Smirk.
I wish I did
and
it.
Move on.
I wish me and you did it
legally. That look.
And bet all that money offshore. I mean, the only people that got screwed were the people that bet the double at Monmouth.
I can see you calling me in the middle of the night going, Tommaso, we got something.
We did it a couple times legally. We did it a couple times with Street Trust, putting the horse on a dead rail at Colonial.
But Michael, once again, it goes back to the fact that the only thing a horse entered in the race has to be is race fit, not necessarily intended to win in this particular spot. And, that's about filling fields. And, and I think it still goes back to those days of yesteryear, those wonderful days when the purse structure was such that no one could, people on the racetrack could barely stay alive unless they did cash a bet.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wanted to win a race at Saratoga. I knew the rail was dead at Colonial. I told the rider, go to the rail, because I knew it was dead. So he ran a better race than it looked on paper. Now he comes to Saratoga and we score, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's right. That's strategy. I didn't use anything. It was just strategy, right?
Well, yes. And it's one of the reasons why, NYRA does offer Andy Serling's track trends. So, if you want to have some sense of how the track was playing, I mean, I think that's an important service to the handicapping community. I don't know how many people use it. I know I do.
Yeah. And look, if you're a good handicapper, good work, you should get rewarded. If you would have looked at Colonial that day on the shipper coming in and saw the rail was dead and Street Trust is on the rail, when he comes to Saratoga, conventional handicapping and hard work, spotting that gets you a possible win. Right. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. That look, I know how you work. You know how I work. It takes time to watch replays, especially from different tracks. It takes time to. We're fortunate that Formulator and Equibase's Race Lens exists for handicappers and help us get the time down. You know, remember, Michael, you remember Louis and you remember Clock of Louis and the charts and the
Absolutely.
chart, the paper chart book, and the work was physically moving, looking at the paper from the charts and circling for the key races. I mean, that was true grunt work that Formulator does for us now, for all handicappers now, if you're using it. But you still got to put in the hours.
Yes. The difference is back then, when you did the work, you got the price.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's accessible easily by a click of a button. So more people have that information because it's easily deciphered.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's the difference between betting on racing back in the day and betting on racing in the modern day of wagering.
Yeah.
The edges have diminished.
Yeah, and it's also why, you say if you're playing semi-seriously, you really should be getting a rebate.
I wouldn't bet the game if I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the takeout's too big. That's why people are betting sports. It's basically 110 to you're laying 10 cents.
Yeah.
Right. That's why, the takeout is too hard. It's too hard. So yeah, you need a rebate, and it's not hard to get a rebate if you want one.
Yeah. Well, what will, beyond an Alabama winner, what will this week and next week bring us from the off-track world to talk about and share? Let's hope we can have a clean week.
The way it's been, I doubt it. I think that I know this Marshall Gramm, they're having a closed door big meeting, like a what is it called? Like a federal, whatever it is, closed door meeting.
Sequestered grand jury that isn't a grand jury.
Yeah, and that will start in September. Look, I find this interesting. It's good theater, right? I mean, it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
It's it's better to talk about this than this last Saturday at Saratoga.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's look.
Yeah.
Maybe
bad.
It helps. Maybe what comes out of this is a positive in some way.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Well,
let's say HISA's computer system is set up to easily access this information. Well, they're going to look bad. It's a black eye. They're going to have to fix their freaking computers that this can't happen.
It sounds to me that it's not necessarily flawed. It sounds to me that they gave access. Like I said, if he didn't write his own code, that if you want to, you can go in and look at your own information, and that's a service to you. But you said you didn't even think of going in to look at what other horses were doing.
I never even occurred to me to think about that.
So it's assuming that folks would be honest and forthcoming. The really good thing is once Gramm, not the good thing. If he found this inadvertently, he should have reported it. He should have told HISA.
I think he reported it later, after he did what he needed to do. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know how the hell it leaked out on social media, the PP, because that's what started the ball rolling, right?
Right.
So
they must have been Well, they had to be shared among, some elite group, and someone in the group gave it to the wrong guy or wrong person. Right? That's all.
Yeah, and that's why we have a story to talk about today.
That's right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this show. And when will David Grenig's interview be posted?
Well, it's right now about 10 after 7, and I've been talking for like 2.5 hours. The show will be posted tonight. I don't know what time,
Okay.
but it'll be posted, and then it'll
Yeah,
air tomorrow on Capitol and all over, after that.
Great. Okay. One last thing. The betting window is at last available at Daily Racing Form.
At last, and I haven't died yet. I mean, it should have debuted first opening meet of the meet. It debuted Saturday. It's available at DRF now and my website at wizardracingsports.com. Either place, it's there. And it looks pretty good.
Okay.
The page looks pretty good. And the videos are on the page, by the way, our weekly videos.
Yeah, the videos.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Not explaining the sheet, our shows, me and you.
Oh, that I know.
And the interviews
right
on our page. Yeah. So you're a famous man. You know, next stop is 60 Minutes for you.
I was famous.
Infamous.
All right. All right, enough of this. Thanks so much for
dinner
joining
tomorrow,
us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a week. You can find us at Wizard Racing Sports YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.